Welcome to Nexus Edge, the show that will help you get an edge on your competition. My name is Turd Herder, and I am your esteemed host of Nexus Edge. This is episode 11, and we're going to have to talk about playoffs a little bit more. So without further ado, let's introduce the panel. Starting at the top, I am joined by our regular panelist, Mr. Ziltoid.
How's it going, everybody? I'm playing WoW today.
Yeah. There you go.
Me?
What? I guess I'm also joined by the other Ziltoid, Mr. Wono.
God, I wasn't ready. I don't have a good Ziltoid impression off the top. Hey,
Yeah. You do a Jedi wave. And then our very special guest and the number one editor that this show has ever had, Mr. Jayzon himself.
I think I'm 1 out of 2, but I'll take it. It works.
Jayzon.
Has
Jayzon.
I don't know. You're number one.
Yeah,
in our
somebody.
hearts.
There we go. Hello, everyone.
Hello. So, Jayzon, we've obviously heard a lot about you. I just went back through all the blooper reels, and you've come up quite a bit. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do for the league here?
Well, just this season, I was brought in to the staff to be the head caster. So it was my first season filling in that role, and it's been really fun. A lot of stuff that's been going on this season in NGS was kind of just an idea on a PowerPoint. Back in December when I was kind of pitching what I wanted to do as the head caster, and a lot of stuff, including Nexus Edge, just kind of sprouted from that. And it's a lot of bringing people in and coordinating different people to do all of these cool projects, and I feel like the production's been really cool here in season 7 and that stuff, or season 6, and that stuff we want to carry on and continue to grow in season 7. But yeah, mostly it's a lot of coordinating the casting, doing a lot of casts myself, and I'm just kind of keeping an eye on everything else that's going on for the production team. And everyone's been doing a great job all season, and it's been a lot of fun being able to fulfill that role so far.
Would you say multitasking is a big part of what you have to do?
Yeah, I would say that for sure. But also, it's really cool working within the NGS structure because the board members know that we're all volunteers here, and so they're always very encouraging. To take as much time as you need to do whatever you need to do. If you ever need to take time away from it, to be able to step away from it. And I've done that a few times this season. And, Weenus has been very good as the assistant head caster, being able to fill in on a lot of that stuff and just help me with a lot of the projects. So it's been a really big team effort all season. I do think we've had the best production this season so far. And especially with the work you guys have done here on Nexus Edge. We're here, for, like you said, for the 11th episode. And the first 10 have been really cool, really popular, and everyone seems to like it. So it's been nice being able to just sit back and be the editor, but it's also cool to come on the show here for the 11th episode and get to participate in a little bit too.
Of course. And I think it goes without saying that you have a lot of things going on behind the scenes, including this show. What did you think about the Showdown series this season? Is that something that we're going to see come back next season?
Yeah, the tentative plans are to actually split up the work a little bit more. I was kind of having my thumb in every pie for those for those showdowns throughout the season, which was cool, but it was kind of also an unsustainable model, doing multiple a week. And so what we're kind of thinking about doing is actually just finding one producer to oversee each show. And then if we have enough volunteers that are interested in producing those shows, we could conceivably have 7 of those a week. We could have 1 for each night, but it just kind of depends on how many people are interested in going into those roles, or if that's really the model we want to go with. There's still a lot of stuff up in the air for season 7, but that's kind of the pitch that I think was thrown out that I liked the most. Is just splitting up the work a little bit more, and then they can all be, a little bit more unique as well. They don't have to be 7 showdowns. They can just be 7 feature match nights that are named and look like whatever they want based on the producer's ideas.
Well, it increases the traffic to the Nexus Gaming Series Twitch channel.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of the idea, is having as much content on there as possible, earns more followers or earns more people going in to see all of these matches that are going to be featured, and especially when we get to the end of the season, when we're having all of these championship matches on that main channel too, that everybody wants to find, it's a little easier for them to find their way to those.
Got it. All right, guys, let's quickly talk about Patreon. I think the end of the season rewards are ending up right about now, but I think you still have an opportunity to get in by the time this airs for you. So if you had any desire whatsoever to get any of the Patreon rewards, please check out Nexus, patreon.com/. You know what? You'll find
Heroes
it if you
Nexus
click on the
Gaming
link
Series,
right
I
below.
think.
What is it?
Heroes Nexus Gaming Series, I believe.
I think Jayzon's right.
Oh, yeah, he's right. Patreon.com/Heroes Nexus Gaming Series. All right, guys, 2 housekeeping matters. We have a Nexus Edge survey. We talked about it a little bit last episode. Just going to plug it again here real quick. If you haven't already taken it, please take some time out of your day. Let us know what you think about each of the recurring segments. The reactions and the impressions that we get from everyone on this survey are definitely going to be taken into account when we talk about next season and the recurring segments. If you like the games, let us know. If you hate the games, let us know, because that's definitely going to be something that we take into account. And then also, if you haven't taken the opportunity to do the season-ending survey for all of NGS, please go ahead and do that. The speaker of the board herself has asked me to ask you to go ahead and do that. So why don't you go ahead and do that? I think both surveys are going to end on May 26th. But either way, we'll have a link down below for you to check out. So while you're watching this show and paying attention, fill out a survey. There you go. All right, guys, let's quickly talk about cool things we've been doing this week. I usually say cool things we've been doing in the Nexus, but all of us are not in the playoffs. So, Jayzon, start us out. What have you been doing?
Well, I've been coordinating a lot of the finals matches, picking the casters that are going to be playing in the Coastal Finals, and we're going to be getting ready to also do the same thing for the Grand Championship. So if you're interested in observing or co-casting or being the main broadcaster for those, be on the lookout for when those get scheduled and put up on there, because then we'll have the applications available. And then the rest of my week's pretty much just been watching these finals matches and getting them put up on the YouTube channel, because I'm not playing as much, so I'm usually just filling my time playing Stardew Valley or something else.
Yeah, there you go. Ziltoid, what have you been up to this past week?
Not a whole lot. Playoffs ended for us about a week ago or more, I guess.
I think a little bit more.
Yeah, so we're just kind of taking a back seat, so I haven't really been doing a whole lot other than playing a lot of Star Wars: Old Republic and Super Smash Brothers.
Very nice. Mr. Wono, what have you been up to?
Yeah, since we got knocked out, honestly, not a whole lot like everyone else. Tried to catch as many of the playoff games as possible, so a lot of good HOTS still being played. Mongoose and I have been putting the finishing touches on our little off-season fun tournament that we're going to be running here in a couple of weeks. Still looking out for some casters to join us at the Wono and Mongoose's Pleb Fiesta. So if you are interested,
Whamp,
drop me or Mongoose a line. We'd love to have you on board the team. And yeah, other than that, not a whole lot.
Very nice. We have the Nexus Cats.
Is a sombrero a requirement
for the WAMP?
It's not a requirement, but we can provide one.
I have been we joined the Zueljin Invitational League. So the Nexus Cats have been taking part in that. We are the only Division D team, I think, in the league. So a little bit of a chip on our shoulder, but we won Game 1.
Hey.
I got to play.
Hey.
And I had some plays of the game kind of level stuff going on. So I felt real good about it. This weekend I played in my first Hearthstone tournament, similar to NGS. It's just like a group of people that play Hearthstone, just doing that on the side now that the off season's here. So having a little bit of fun, just sticking with the Blizzard games. So
how did the tournament go?
I lost. I got 0-3'd. So it was great. Yeah.
But for your very first one, it's a learning experience, right? So
Yeah, I left lethal on the table. It happens, Also, I needed to win for my team to win. Didn't happen. So, a little salty. It happens. All right. So, enough about us. Let's talk about the people. We have some playoff discussion coming up here. So, let's just get right down to it. Mr. Ziltoid, why don't you tell us what's going on with Heroic? I've heard some things are getting a little spicy over there, so hopefully you can fill us in. What's going on?
I think that since the last time we were here, there was a few matches that needed to happen.
Right.
So in the lower losers round bracket, we had Moto and Montreal Style Bagels that did move on, as we discussed last time. But since then, it was actually Moto that took the 2-0 over Montreal Style Bagels. I don't think it's that big of a surprise because I think they won in the regular season as well. And they are slightly higher ranked. So it was Moto that kind of ended up coming out of the losers round bracket. It's still not over yet, as there's the other match, which was the semifinal between Abusement Park and Celeb Gaming, as those were the two teams, rank 1 and 2, going at each other at the top end of the bracket. And it was Celeb Gaming, the number 2 seed, that pulled off the win versus 2-0. Now, in the regular season, when Abusement Park did beat Celeb Gaming, it went to 3 games, so it was pretty close all across the board. So it was expected that we would see probably some comeback coming in from Celeb Gaming, as they, of course, been training hard and playing against very tough teams in Division S. And, that bit of experience gives you a lot when you need to kind of close out a playoff set. So they did win. So the next matchup that we have, which is Abusement Park versus Moto, which I think is today.
It's tonight as of recording, so.
Yeah.
8 o'clock.
So, yeah, if, obviously this will come out after the match is done. So whoever ends up winning between those two, is going to go off to face Celeb Gaming in the finals. Now, how Heroic Division works, as it's a double elimination, Celeb Gaming has not yet been eliminated. So if Abusement Park or Moto, whichever one moves on, beats Celeb Gaming in the first set, they have to play a second set.
Right.
Because Celeb Gaming has that grace from not dropping a set this playoff run. So things are starting to spice up. I expect to probably see Abusement Park back in. And that could be a really spicy set. Again, it's 2-0 over Abusement Park, but these teams tend to be pretty close when it comes down to a lot of different aspects of how they play.
Is that the matchup that you kind of expected to happen here? Was the Abusement Park versus Celeb Gaming?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think that's anything way too far off. I'm not taking a big bet here.
Yeah.
Moto did make it through, but I was corrected from my last stream that Revive Esports lost the set to Moto because they forfeited.
Oh, okay.
Which was something that I was informed of after we released the last episode of Nexus Edge. So Moto's done well to make past Montreal Style Bagels, who took out Insomnia, and I think that was an upset. But Moto clearly had what they needed to take out Montreal Style Bagels, but I don't know if they've really got what it takes to take out Abusement Park. I think when you look at this Heroic division from this season, there's the top 3 teams were still more or less by and large far and away from the rest of the pack when it comes down to their gameplay on any given day. So, and those top 3 teams are Abusement Park, Celeb Gaming, and Revive Esports. And the fact that Moto didn't take a 2-0 victory in an actual set against Revive Esports doesn't really bode well as far when they have to go up against a team like Abusement Park.
All right.
So that's about it.
Sounds good. Are we ready to move on to Division A?
Yeah, so that's it for Heroic Division. Catch the game tonight, in a VOD, obviously, if you didn't. And then... it
was such a great game. I watched every minute of it.
And then the finals, I think, should be able to take place this week, possibly before our next episode. So we'll see how that all goes.
Fingers crossed. All right, moving on to Division A. What do we got going on? So these guys are in round 2.
Yeah. So we had 2 matches happen last week in the semifinals, which was Nobo Esprouts versus Dread Pirates was the first one.
Yep.
And then it was Queen's Consorts and Give Me the D-Shield from a couple days ago. Dread Pirates managed to beat out Nobo Esprouts in a 2-0, and it was actually kind of convincing. There was definitely some back and forth play, as you'd expect to see from Division A, top 4 teams. But Dread Pirates didn't really seem that pressured most of the matches. Both games did go on pretty long. It wasn't like they stomped through them, but Dread Pirates had kind of was able to continually keep a lead throughout the games, or reestablish a lead pretty well in the mid game, even on Volskaya, where Nobo Esprouts had a bit of a better kind of showing in the first part of it. But if I'm remembering correctly, did they even play on Volskaya?
No, it was BOE and then Dragonshire.
BOE, that's what I was thinking of. BOE, but again, it was the objectives. Dread Pirates was winning a lot of those objectives really hard, and it was putting a lot of pressure on Nobo. So it's a good series, though. Watch the VOD if you hadn't. Definitely some pretty top tier play. That's definitely worth watching. The next one was Queen's Consorts and Give Me the D-Shield. I actually didn't expect Give Me the D-Shield to even make it this far. I thought that they were going to actually lose to Ferrets in my bracket. But there's always the Rexpa factor to keep in mind, and I think that showed up again in Queen's Consort set, because they actually came in and gave Queen's Consorts one hell of a set. It was a toughie. Queen's Consorts did come out winning, but there was some moments there that game, both those games, were going to flip over on their head, and Queen's Consorts could have lost control of it. If they weren't a better team, they would have lost that set, I think. But they recovered really well, won out some of the mid-late game team fights, and were able to also secure the victory. So, again, really good series to watch. Kind of one of those things where you see a pretty well-oiled machine, and kind of just, and Give Me the D-Shield is just kind of like that starburst. They've got a lot of punch, but if they don't quite finish it out, they couldn't quite make it. But very good showing for, ended up being one of the top 4 teams in the division. And I think they were ranked 4 all the way through anyways. Yeah. So our next matchup is going to be Queen's Consorts versus Dread Pirates. And I'll have to say that I kind of expected this result. Dread Pirates was a little bit iffy just because they did switch out their support player. But the team synergies still seem to be very much there. When they picked up their earlier in the season, they picked up a new tank player, which was Delurker. And I have to say, he's probably one of the best tank players in Division A. He's got really good understanding of rotations. He understands how to min-max his health pool and CC and everything extremely well. And has been doing a fantastic job controlling that front line for Dread Pirates. And I think that's something that he's going to be a really good matchup for Hollis, which if you look at rank-wise, at least as far as like statistics are going, Hollis is statistically the best Division A tank.
Yeah.
So this matchup's going to be, I think, won or lost a big deal on the front line. But we got really good DPS players on both sides. So it's going to come down, I think, to how those two tend to match up, and compositions and maps, and there's always so many factors in Hitter Storm. It's a super complicated game. There's nothing easy about this game, and playing it at a high level is even more difficult. So expect to see a tight series. It's best of 5 for these, right?
Yes. Best of 5 for the finals, for the Division A final, and then the grand final for everything else.
I do believe that best of 5 is better for Dread Pirates, because they are a strong team and should be able to, in a 5-game set, might secure the upset. But it's really too close to call for me. I don't know if anyone else wants to try.
Very nice. Jayzon, you keep your eye on Div A and all the other divs. Give me a quick 1 minute. What's going to happen? Queen's Consorts versus Dread Pirates. I know it broke my bracket, but tell us, what's going to happen?
Yeah, I think that Dread Pirates is maybe a little bit more of an explosive team, whereas, I've kind of looked at Queen's Consorts as more of your consistent. They give you about the same performance level every time, and they're both very, very good teams. So I think really what it comes down to is who's going to show up that day and who's stronger, because I do think it's a pretty evenly matched set, and again, that best of 5 factor, it could also come down to which team has the more stamina. Really, it's like you do that first bit, the best of 3. If neither team closes it out in those 3 games, a lot of times you'll see reverse sweeps come out because teams just run out of gas. But if I had to put in my money on one team, I would actually go with Queen's Consorts. I think that they're the team that's been around in NGS for so long, so many members on there that we've seen for so long, and I think that they've got the experience and the consistency that they need to make it through a best of 5 and win this.
Very nice. That's what I like to hear. Wono, let's move on. Let's start talking about Division B.
Division B.
So I think we're going to start with what? Division B East?
We'll start with B East, yeah. So, unlike A, the remaining 3 divisions, B, C, and E, were all in their coastal finals.
B, C, and D. I'm not an E.
Did I say E?
This is, I'm not a Division E player.
B, C, and D were all in their coastal finals. So over on the B East side, we had the matchup of NUES going up against Gilly Shark, and that's one we kind of talked about quite a bit in the weeks leading up to this. We pretty much expected these 2 teams to be coming at each other. NUES and Gilly Shark were the top 2 teams of the division, the clear favorites. There are a couple other teams up there like Hodis and Minion Miners who we expected to do well, but we pretty much all saw this matchup coming. Gilly Shark, the long-standing NGS team, a lot of history, a lot of playoff history, not necessarily always going their way, and NUES kind of the newcomers to NGS with some upsets. I caught about 75% of this set. I came in a little bit late to the first game, and watching it, NUES seemed like they had a pretty, not super commanding, but they had a good solid lead on Towers of Doom, which was the first map. And Gilly Shark played really well. In typical Gilly Shark fashion, they kind of bided their time, gave some stuff away, waited till the late game before they got a couple lucky, well, not lucky, but a couple good picks. Started turning the game around, evened up structures, and then before you know it, Gilly Shark just closed out the game and took it to game 2. And then Gilly Shark actually won the set 2-0, which I personally expected NUES to take at least one map off of Gilly Shark. But I guess they just didn't quite have it in them this season. Gilly Shark is looking stronger than ever. Their team synergy is really good. They go into every map, you can tell, with a solid game plan. Their drafts are not quite meta, but what they do draft really works out for them. And honestly, that might have been the downfall of NUES in the second game, because honestly speaking, their draft for Cursed Hollow in game 2 was quite wonky. I don't think it really, I don't know if it was something they'd practiced before or something.
What do you mean by
really,
wonky, mister?
From what I can remember, it was an Abathur comp with Murda, Hanzo, Arthas, and a healer who I can't remember. But having
Lucio?
No, I think Lucio was on the side of Gilly Shark. Regardless, it was for an Abathur comp. They weird. Didn't have, like, Murden is a good tank to pair with Abathur just because of his engages, his survivability. It ups his damage and threat quite a bit. Arthas is a stranger choice, especially when you already have a main tank in your Murden. Typically, when you're building an Abathur comp, you really want to find heroes that have an individual impact and things that can kind of function on their own. And Arthas in that setting doesn't really bring much to the table.
Yeah.
So needless to say, Gilly Shark ended up winning the second game pretty handedly and took the 2-0 over NUES. Really good season by the newcomers. I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of for finishing second, and I'm sure Gilly Shark is. I don't know for sure. Is this their first time winning a Coastal final? I know they've gotten to the playoffs and gotten
the East Championship, but
Mhm.
also their third straight trip to that game.
Yes.
So it was really like taking off my admin hat for a minute and just looking as like a fan of the league. It was nice to see a team persevere through that and make the third time the charm.
Absolutely.
Getting that championship.
So congrats to Gilly Shark. Bunch of really nice, really solid players. So always happy to see them succeed and finally take that elusive finals match.
And who are they going to be playing?
Yeah, let's talk about what happened on the other side and who's going to be going up against them.
Yes,
so
sir.
I think at the time of our last filming, we hadn't seen the results of Wholesome Halfwits and 10 Armor. Does that sound right?
I think that's
it
correct.
was the next night.
I think they played it afterwards.
Yeah.
It's good we have the editor here who had to watch it more than once. Yeah.
So pretty even match. Wholesome Halfwits ended up edging them out as we kind of expected. They're a little bit more of the consistent and the stronger team at this point in time. So that left them going up against the juggernauts that are Virtual Murky Slayers. Important to note, in the regular season, Wholesome Halfwits was one of only 2 teams to take a map off of Virtual Murky Slayers. They still ended up losing that 2-1, but good on them for taking out one map. The set ended up... it was a good set. It was a really good set to watch. It went back and forth.
Through.
Spoilers.
Yeah, they had that set.
It ended up going the 3-game distance. And right out the gate, Wholesome Halfwits looked strong. They looked like the dominant team. They put Virtual Murky Slayers in a position that you haven't really seen them in since losing the first game to Regen Blue in that set, honestly. They had them on the defensive.
Jay's over there smiling.
Yeah, I know. Had to call back to that. But no, Wholesome Halfwits, they had their Uther on a double support banned out against them, but they still played a really strong first game and looked dominant. And going into the second game, they kind of took the reins right away. Virtual Murky Slayers was kind of asleep, lost. It didn't quite look like they had a game plan that was fully formed. They didn't quite know how to play from behind and what to do. There were a couple good team fights, a couple kind of lucky fights that ended up swinging in their favor where people falling on both sides, and Virtual Murky Slayers managed to pull it back just enough to kind of wrangle the second game win. And then from there, you could kind of tell their confidence was kind of boosting back up, and they were starting to play more like the team that we know them to be. And they came back and won the third one in a very close game. It was close all the way through, but to just kind of beat out Wholesome Halfwits and take the B West crown. So that leaves our B finale being Virtual Murky Slayers and Gilly Shark. 2 very interesting teams that I am kind of at a loss on who I want to put my chips behind. Because on the one hand, Gilly Shark is a very methodical, very consistent, very safe pick. They know what they're doing. They go into every game with a game plan. They execute very well. Virtual Murky Slayers is a little more, especially lately, a little more stop and go, or they have some really interesting drafts. Both teams do. A lot of pocket picks that they like to play. I won't say too much so that Gilly Shark does their appropriate scouting.
We're supposed to be giving people the edge on their competition. Oh, this is outrageous. People are going to demand their money back.
Where's the edge, man? Where's the edge?
Where's the edge? Both
All
teams
right,
have their...
okay, you don't have to give it away, I guess.
Yep.
If you are if you're Virtual Murky Slayers, what game are you looking at from Gilly Shark, if you remember?
Gilly Shark has a very strong handle on the macro. They play a lot of heroes that help enable that. They have a very deep hero pool, and it includes some picks that you don't always see too often. They're also pretty good at setting up some wombos. Where I would probably say Gilly Shark's maybe weakness lies is finding engages in the early game and kind of taking control of the game in the early game. They can let games kind of not run away from them because they're pretty good at mid to late game pulling it back and eking out the wins. But they definitely aren't a dominant team pre-10. They rely on their heroics a lot to make some engages, make fights happen, and start swinging the game in their favor. So
winning.
If I was Virtual Murky Slayers, I would look to draft something that's a little stronger in the early game, so you can start putting a chokehold on that map as early as possible and kind of never let the team back into it.
Very interesting. So you have to pick one team. Who is it?
Purely because I'm a West boy and I want to see my West boys do well, I'm going to give it to Virtual Murky Slayers. That being said, big fan of both teams, really like watching both of them play, and I'll be happy if this goes to 5 games. We get some awesome HOTS to watch.
There we go. Jayzon, what are we doing? Are we doing Virtual Murky Slayers or Ghillie Shark?
It's always the hardest thing to judge when you got the 2 coastal champions coming together, because there's not a whole lot of cross competition throughout the season to really compare with. But my head says VMS, but really my heart says Ghillie Shark. I think these guys have earned it. They've been playing in NGS for so long, and they've been playing together for so long, so they're going to have that factor on their side too, which you always want to consider. Is right. They've been playing competitive HOTS for so long, but VMS is just so strong. It's hard to vote against them, especially going out into that best of 5 series. We've seen them in the playoffs start slow a couple times, losing against us, losing that first game against Wholesome Halfwits, and then they get stronger and they adjust well. So I think best of 5 does favor VMS a little bit. I'm going to vote on them, but I'm going to be watching the series, and my heart's probably going to be in it for Ghillie Shark.
I called VMS in my prediction show based on these 2 alone and their profile picture. Got to go with VMS. So
there you go.
Ziltoid, you got a quick opinion on that too?
Quick? No.
Does Ziltoid do anything quickly?
Yeah, no. Unfortunately.
All right,
I usually die really fast in matches.
There you go.
All right, I'll give you a not quick opinion, but also not long.
No problem.
Yeah.
Both teams are very strong, as we've seen. Virtual Murky Slayers plays they're hard to counter in draft because they aren't role specific. Each of them has a set of heroes that they play pretty well. And unless you're willing to pick a lot of those away, which some of them are odd picks, they're not anything like super meta or anything like that. It's kind of hard to ban out everything that they can throw together in a match. They play about 2 to 3 very solid styles of play, and that they can just kind of swap their players around. And surprisingly, it's worked. Obviously, it got them all the way through to the division championships against a really tough division. I mean, B West doesn't have a bunch of slouches in it. They've got teams that really work hard to play, at their best. And VMS in a lot of those matches just made everybody's efforts seem worthless because what they played just tended to match up better against everyone else's. Ghillie Shark is one of those teams that they are consistent. They have a very specific set of heroes. It is deep, but they don't go off of the playbook too far. And they do struggle in the early games, which could cost them if they can't come back with late game team fights against a team like Virtual Murky Slayers that is also very good at late game team fights.
Right.
But they have playoff experience. They are also a very solid team. And since they are a good late game spike, as long as they don't lose hold of that early macro and they don't get maps where they can get punished hard for that, they probably can beat VMS. But in my own sets and scrims against VMS, they have some comps that are very punishing to deal with in the early game. And their macro calls tend to be very good. So I would probably say, I think from a style matchup, and I think that's kind of how you have to look at it when you look at these two teams, VMS might have the edge just because of how they set their team up and play their game style. It's a lot different than what you generally run into, and it makes them hard very much to play against, especially if you have no practice against it. So it'll be interesting. But if Ghillie Shark does the strategy, like the scouting they need to do, and they can make sure that they don't get punished very hard in the early game, I think they could potentially pull out the. But I'm gonna go with VMS because that's a lot of things you got to deal with.
Yeah,
and it's hard.
All right, there we go. That's Division B Grand Finals coming to you this week, so keep an eye out for that. All right, let us move on to our Division C Finals, Grand Finals. Jayzon, tell us what is going on.
All right, so we had two big matchups this week. The first one, Div C West, was Rush B versus Can't Counterpick Stupid. Game one on Infernal Shrines, it was like crazy back and forth, anybody's game, and it came down to like a late game camp invade by Rush B, which is funny because it was a 5v4 in favor of Rush B that actually ended up being a 3-for-3 exchange, but Rush B like was able to get back to the shrine faster and win the Punisher, and they just took that Punisher down for the win. So, fortune favors the bold. And a really strong performance by Dominator on Sylve and Greenwall on Lucio, just having like massive healing numbers. And the wave clear also for Rush B was a really big deal. Infernal Shrines, the big wave clear map. And Can't Counterpick Stupid went with a very interesting pick on that map. It was Li Ming, which you don't normally see on Shrines. It had really good like team fight and hero damage, but the wave clear just wasn't quite there, I think. But that really wasn't made the difference. It was back and forth. It could have been anybody, but they won that lane game team fight. And then as we see in a lot of these like big best of 3 matches throughout the season, when it's close like that in game 1, a lot of times you get almost like a discouraging factor in game 2, and it's almost like Counterpick Stupid just couldn't bring it back in game 2, and it was a lot less close. Rush B won it in 15 minutes with like a 4-level lead on Volskaya. And, again, big numbers from Dominator and huge XP numbers from Arcane on Sonya, too, to give them that big level lead. And so Rush B advancing on, which is exactly how I had my bracket, which is good. And
now,
then,
real quick, that's actually the same way it went down in the regular season, too, isn't it? I think.
I don't know. I didn't see their regular season.
Well,
matchup,
I thought I did. The only difference I saw was Rush B doing a little bit of Juice Pirates on Volskaya. So I heard in the Discord that they weren't quite able to pull it off. Neither team was able to pull it off. But just wanted to confirm that we did not see the Juice Pirates in this game.
I don't remember what their comp was, but I do know that they just weren't quite able to get anything going throughout that game. It was just very, very one-sided. And they were just, Rush B just riding the momentum. And that's kind of what I feel like they've been doing a lot of the season. They've been winning quite a lot and had a great showing. I think the better team won. It was like consistently throughout the season. Not that Counterpick Stupid hasn't been doing well also, but yeah, Rush B makes it into the finals. And then for the Div C East finals, we had the Found Vikings versus Regen Red. And again, game 1, Volskaya Foundry, very back and forth for this matchup. Regen Red kind of pulled away at the end. They had a couple of good late game team fights. And Contender putting up some really big numbers on the Alarak. Contender was on the other side, putting up some big numbers despite the loss. But Zulkin looked amazing on Zul'jin. And Recyclic had just a ton of healing on Ana. They just could not get to the Ana that game. And he just put out the healing numbers to really be able to make the difference late game. And then game number 2, kind of that same deal. Very one-sided. Regen Red just ran away with it. Zulkin actually did one of the more impressive things that I've seen in this whole playoff run so far from any team. Is he started off on the Medivh, finishing his Q quest stacks in 3 minutes and 37 seconds, which is just totally insane.
Spicy.
Yeah, and Murda really put it together. He's like 9-0 on Orphea, and just a ton of damage. And the Regen Red boys finishing it up to take the C East finals, and now they'll meet Rush B in the C Grand Finals here coming up this week in that best of 5.
So, in your opinion, who's going to take it? Is it going to be Rush B?
I'm a Regen guy, so I'm contractually obligated to cheer for Regen Red. But
you signed that contract too?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't get a T-shirt though. I don't know. That was a really bad deal. But
For the record, I didn't sign a contract.
no, me either. I'm kidding. But my bracket actually has Rush B winning, but I'm going to be cheering really hard for my Regen boys. I hope they win. I do think it's going to be a great matchup, but
Best
Rush
of
B's
five.
just looks so dominant this season. Like, I just can't put my money anywhere else, you know?
Yeah.
And neither can the cat.
Cat
That's a
cam.
Come on, you. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Div C. You know, look out for this matchup. It's going to be really nice to see these two teams. This is the moment they've both been waiting for all season. And Regen Red, I feel like, really earned their way in down the stretch. They played very well in the playoffs, and they've been working hard throughout the season. And I would know because we did a big casted stream on Murda's channel before the season even started. And, you know, they definitely didn't look as strong then as they do now. They've had just a massive amount of growth. And looking forward to it. And Rush B, also great season. Looking forward to seeing how it finishes it out for both of them.
Very nice. Ziltoid, tell me, do you think Regen is going to pull it off in the grand finals for Division B or not?
So in my original bracket, I had Regen going up against Dat Test, though.
Yes,
Aha.
as did I.
We're breaking into that again.
And I did take Regen Red to take that series because I figured that they would have enough flexibility and understanding against that team to definitely clutch out a victory. I've learned a lot more about Rush B. I've watched quite a bit of the games or scrimmed them. There's been, you know, a bit of more understanding of that team, how they work. And they're very strong and consistent, and they've got a very fast, aggressive play style that they really cater to.
Mm-hmm.
And they can snowball victories out of objective and team fight wins pretty well. So it's going to be a tight matchup between these two. It's not nearly as easy for me to say that Regen's going to come out with the win against a team like Rush B. They did hand the Vikings a pretty good 2-0 domination.
Yeah.
And their drafts were dynamic and well played. So Regen definitely has the flexibility and the tools that they need to take on a team like Rush B. If they can deny the power picks, which, number one, they should pretty much just never give Dominator Maiev.
Yeah.
That's almost 100% will guarantee them losing a match if they do that. So, you know, maybe giving away some strategies there, but I mean, that one should be pretty
Edge
damn
on the
obvious.
competition, man.
I mean, especially after the last win with Rush B, last two series wins against some good teams like CCS and Ginormous Jaegers. Maiev was a pretty big factor, at least in one game in each one of those sets. I think. I can't remember if it was against CCS, but I know for Ginormous Jaegers, it definitely was.
Yeah.
And so it's a 5-game series. It's going to be a tight one. I'm going to give it to Regen Red just because I think that they have shown the growth and they have shown the draft. Like, they're very flexible and can pull off the drafts. So because they can do those three things, I think they might have the tools to take out a team like Rush B in a 5-series set. But we're talking really close, guys.
Very nice. Wono, give me a quick, what do you think is going to happen in Division C grand finals?
So I unfortunately had to miss our scrim against Rush B, so I didn't get to know them quite as intimately as Ziltoid maybe. But definitely watched as much as I could of their last 2 playoff matches and was really impressed with the play that they brought out as a team, since coming from a team that I didn't know at all at the beginning of the season.
Right.
Regen Red, on the other hand, I knew them. I knew what was Regen Red and knew that they lost some members and gained some members and kind of had a tough beginning to the season, as Jayzon alluded to. So I was really impressed with how well Regen Red came together as a team, how they progressed, how their plays progressed, how they've gelled together. And I kind of saw the Found Vikings as like the one kind of benchmark to see if they've made it as a team or not, because the Found Vikings are a very strong team who have a good history of playing together, good synergies built up. So the fact that they were able to 2-0 them in half convincing. The first game was pretty close. The second game was Regen Red ran away with it, as we've kind of seen in some of the playoff matches. But able to beat them 2-0 in a fairly convincing fashion and look that much stronger than them in that second game, I really, as much as Rush B has impressed me just being a team that I don't know and seeing how their level of play, I really don't see it going any other way than Regen Red. That being said, I think it's going to be a good show. I expect Rush B to take at least one map and definitely not roll over without a fight. But I think this is Regen Red's to lose.
Very nice. And I am contractually obligated to say that Regen Red is going to win. So I did it. Anyways, on that note, let us move on to Division D. Now, Division D has decided that even though we're recording this on Monday, they didn't want to get all their matches played. And since there's only 2 matches to be played, that means that I don't even know one half of the bracket. So, actually, Jayzon, I think, are you casting it tonight?
Yes, Murda and I will be on the cast shortly after this, actually. Probably about a half an hour after we're done with recording.
There we go. So we don't know the results of that yet. That is the Division D East Finals. It is going to be Full Meta Jacket and Frank's Furters. Kind of a battle for the ages. I made my prediction last week. I think it's going to be Full Meta Jacket. I haven't seen anything that is going to change my mind on that. So that leaves us with what happened in the Division D West Finals. And that was a match of Pigeon Stitches versus Boogan Squad. And this is map 1. It was on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Pigeon Stitches pulled out a little something spicy. They decided to play the Lost Vikings. And something I've kind of been holding close to me is Pigeon Stitches actually ran the Lost Vikings against the Nexus Cats in a scrim and dominated us very, very good. So when I saw that was picked, I thought that this match was going to be in Pigeon Stitch's favor because they really executed the TLV effectively, especially for a Division D team, which we just didn't know how to face it. And Boogan Squad actually pulled out the win. They had a very strong dive type composition. They had Rhaegar, Anubarak, Kerrigan, and then to follow it up, they had Phoenix and Jaina, basically all damage all the time. It seemed to work and actually ended the game in 16 minutes on Tomb of the Spider Queen. So definitely a really good one. So then it goes into game 2. It's going to be Tomb of the Spider Queen. Pigeon Stitches kind of goes back to their bread and butter. They go with Zeratul, Kael'thas, Blaze, Malfurion, and Diablo. A pretty good composition for Tomb of the Spider Queen. You have your Blaze that's going to be able to wave clear. Zeratul's there. Kael'thas is there. Boogan Squad actually had a weird composition, just kind of looking at it. They had Jimmy, Artanis, Jaina, Whitemane, and then Joanna. Obviously, the Joanna plus just about everything else is going to blow up a wave. But in 23 minutes, Boogan Squad actually gets game 2. So Boogan Squad going on to the grand finals. The match was incredibly close. I was only able to catch like a little bit of it at the end, which was already kind of decided. So sorry, guys. But definitely an interesting match. So we have Boogan Squad going up against Full Meta Jacket and or Frank's Furters. I think Boogan Squad just takes it no matter who wins.
Yeah.
They just look so good. They can play whatever goofy comp you want to give them, and they're just going to do really well. I think Full Meta Jacket is good. They obviously beat us, but I don't think there's nothing flashy. There's nothing surprising. You're not going to be surprised by their picks. Frank's Furters, if you ban the ETC, you got it, is my opinion on that. We didn't do that, so. And teams haven't done that. Dallying Pig on Frank's Furters on the ETC is just a really bad prospect for anyone facing him. But if you can neutralize that ETC, I think you pretty much do okay against Frank's Furters. And I just think Boogan Squad just have the depth of play, the variability of play. Just think they're going to take it. So that's my prediction. Jayzon, tell me what do you think of Division D Grand Finals, Boogan Squad versus whichever team wins the cast that happened the other day?
Well, I can because I'm the editor, I can do cool stuff like this. The match tonight was won by Frank's Furters.
Yeah.
And Boogan Squad's going to beat them either way, so I think that's where we're going with that.
Just like the cat. So Boogan Squad and the winner are just really good. So very nice.
Yeah, winning team, which was Frank's Furters.
Yeah. Wono, what do you think about Division D?
I predict Full Meta Jacket to beat Frank's Furters. I think they're just the better team overall. Mm-hmm. As far as Boogan Squad versus Full Meta Jacket afterwards, Boogan looks good. I'm guilty of not watching enough Division D, so I don't know these teams as well as I could, but Boogan's looking really good from what I've caught, and I think it's going to go to them.
There we go, Ziltoid.
So my bracket says.
Yeah. Your bracket says Boogan Squad versus Full Meta Jacket?
In bracket, we trust.
No, I expected you guys, sadly.
I did too. So
face off against Boogan Squad, but I expected Boogan Squad to beat Pigeon Stitches, and I expect Boogan Squad to take the championship.
Very nice. Alrighty, guys. That's it. That is all of the playoffs, all the brackets. Only a couple more matches left, and then that'll be it. So let us move on. We have the streamer and the caster of the week, and we actually have two of them. So we missed 1 week. So in order to make up for that fact, we are awarding two casters of the week, and they are Slexia and Murda. Two people that have definitely been pulling more than their fair share of casts. Just this morning, Division A posted a very late match. This morning being Monday the 13th, they posted a very late match saying, hey, we're going to be playing tonight. And Slexia volunteered. She stepped up and she said, I got it. Don't worry about it, guys. Really putting the squad on her back and carrying us across the finish line, making sure that oh no, that's a heroic match that's tonight, isn't it?
Yep.
It's a heroic match, sorry. Putting the squad on her back and saying, don't worry, guys, we are going to watch the top hots in the division or in the league. So really, and on top of that, we've had her here on the show. She has been casting a storm. She has been co-casting with Weenus and whoever really she can. So shout out to her. And then Murda. I mean, what's there to not say about Murda? He is someone that picks up a lot of casts as well, especially in the finals, especially in the playoffs. I've joined the Regen Discord, and I know that he is all over NGS. He does all kinds of stuff. And it goes without saying that he is a quintessential part of the caster team. Jayzon, you're the head caster. What do you got more to say about these folks?
Well, first of all, come on, you. First of all, it's just a thank you to all of the casters in general. You know, there were a lot of casters that we featured on Streamer of the Week and streamer/community member of the week, and that's really what all of these people are. They're all very good volunteers. They're taking their own time out of their own lives. You know, none of these guys are paid. You know, the support that people give on their channel is always welcomed and helpful, but you know, these are all people just volunteering their time and giving a lot of great effort and showing a lot of cool prowess in something that's not very easy to do. You know, it takes a lot of time to develop good casting skills, and these guys are willing to put in the time to do that for the NGS community, and it's just really cool to see so many different people willing to do that and you know, put forth the effort, and they all do an amazing job. So, you know, specific to Slexia, new this season, but you know, very capable, very entertaining. And she's even started to stream her own rather than, you know, like she was just a co-caster to start, but she started doing her own streams and has done a very good job so far. And yeah, it's like you said, Murda, you know, you just can't say enough good things about Murda. Not only all the stuff that he does specifically for the Regen community, but then also kind of extends that into the NGS community with so many amazing things he brings as a board member. He's always there to give advice for anyone that needs any help. And as a caster, he's just very skilled. He's the best hype man I think we have. It's just really, really exciting to watch him cast a match and see how much he loves Heroes of the Storm.
Absolutely. Shout out to you guys. Keep up the good work. We are going to have links to their streams, their individual streams, down below. Go ahead and take a look at their VODs. And if you see them live, go ahead and throw them some bits, throw them a subscribe, throw them a follow, whatever you got. So, all right, guys, let's move into our next topic. It is the top 5 highlights of the week, as chosen by us, because we're important. So, without further ado, let us start with number 5. It all starts with a void prison. ... Go ahead and show the clip.
Already starting this fight, Anubarak diving deep in. The void prison out on the back line, though. Johanna is getting caught by the elemental, and it's just Anubarak caught by himself, but void prison's done, and here they come back in. Johanna gets taken down with that dot damage as Imperius dives in and finishes off the Anubarak. Actually, I guess Zeratul did. Orphea then dropping the Thrall, tongue going out onto Rex, but pulling him back. Imperius dives in to get Ember caught, and Lucio just trying to get him away, but the sleep dart catches Dahaka and... ...
And it ends with a tomb. Show the clip.
You know, everyone has full mana, full health. Let's get it going. Let's see what they've got.
So
the
there's
Pyro coming out on Mayog.
Yeah, root onto Mayog as well. Garrosh getting pulled back in. The Entomb goes out. Malfurion goes down, followed by Garrosh shortly thereafter. Kael'thas is just running away, but he's the only person left.
And coming in at number 3, we have... Who let Contender get Alarak? Show the clip.
Alex, they do get the pick off onto Raynor. Sustained damage is going to go down here, and it looks like they're going to force the Vikings off the point at 99%. They're going to get the Entomb onto Contender, who turns around, counter strike. Take that, Leo. Undead King no more.
And at number 2, we have Counter Wombo countered with our boys Mark Zombie and Bob Zombie. Show the clip.
Team's good at exploiting.
A big Gravitron Earthquake comes out with a nice sleep combination. Anubarak is the first
Wombo to a counter Wombo. 1, 2, 3 go down. Getting low himself. Zarya will take heavy damage, will die.
And at number 1, we have Leyline Flank. Show the clip.
Yeah, when I was looking at their ability to Oh, no. Oh. The 3-man, you have to have an interrupt here. They're going to get the 3-man mosh with a huge Orphea combo. The 3-man mosh, it's a dance party up in here. Montel Jordan telling everybody this is how we do it over here on the regen side.
You land a Leyline, you get the mosh, you get the kills. That's kind of how that goes down on that number 1 clip. Jayzon, what'd you think?
Well, first of all, it was a completely sick combo. Just watching it live, it was just jaw-dropping. But also, it kind of set the pace for the rest of the game. One of my favorite moments in that match is actually later in the game when we saw the Found Vikings trying to take their Bruiser Cap, and they just kind of saw Medivh floating up above, and they all started having to march away because they were afraid of seeing that Leyline come down again, and it just kind of set the pace. Medivh finished his stack super early, made big plays like that, and made a lot of the difference, which you don't see on the stat sheet, but when you're watching the match live, it passes the eye test for sure.
Yeah. Well, and one thing that was cool about that Leyline is rather than being like a straight line like through them, it actually hit them perpendicular.
Yeah.
So that's like a skill shot within a skill shot. Feels bad, man. I hate to see it. The whole 9. Wono, what clip did you really like this week?
They were all pretty good clips. Obviously, you guys talked about the Leyline one, which was probably the flashiest or the most impressive. I just want to shout out Hollis's tank play. I know we kind of talked about him a little bit earlier, but in the clip number 5, it all starts with the VP. Him and Thrall were the only 2 members on his team that didn't get caught by that VP, him on the Anubarak, but he did such a good job web wrapping Rexpa on his Orphea and then kind of keeping the rest of the team busy and zoned out so that they couldn't easily follow up on that VP. If Rexpa was able to get those crushing jaws underneath the VP just as it was coming up, it would have been a much different story and it might have been a full 5-man team wipe. So shout out to Hollis for some good zoning, a good cocoon, and some good tank play there, just to make sure that his team is able to survive that Void Prison.
Very nice. Ziltoid, which one of these clips did you like this week?
Yeah, probably the Alaret counter, but the fight on the number 2 clip was also really I watched that game live, and like I said, it was really back and forth between those two teams. Wholesome Halfwits really came out looking to get that victory over VMS, and that's a good fight to kind of show how tight that game was.
Very nice. And I think that's it, guys. Very good highlights this week. Keep them coming. As the games wind down, the number of games we get less highlights. So please, 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 if you see something in one of these games in the grand finals here, shoot them over into the highlights folder. We'll take a look at them, and we'll show them on the show. So keep that in mind. All right, guys. Last segment of the night. It is viewer questions. And, of course, we have a couple from Valkymer himself. So with him in mind, let's start this out. So he asks, Valkymer, what unconventional comp, like team comp, really surprised you this season? And when it actually kind of worked out. So, Wono, why don't you start it out if you have one in mind?
Maybe not so much like a comp all the time, but I will say that Dread Pirate's reliance on main tank taunt Varian has surprised me with just how much they played it and the level of success that they've seen with it, because I don't think I've seen any other team in NGS pull out a main tank taunt Varian this entire season, and the fact that they are now one of the top 2 teams in all of Division A who runs this fairly frequently.
Yeah.
That's honestly quite surprising.
Very nice. My personal favorite, I think we talked about it in week 3 or so. I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was a triple support comp that wound up winning on Tomb of the Spider Queens. Obviously, as a support player, you love to see it. So I was really happy to see that one work out. Jayzon, do you remember any specific team comp that you just didn't think was going to work, but then they pulled it off?
Yeah, I remember seeing a highlight of a Juice Pirates that ended up winning, like a last second core call. That's just not a comp that you expect to see come out, in big NGS matches, but it just never really goes away. It's always there. Morales is always waiting with that medevac.
Was it Rush B with their Anubarak and the Zebo?
I believe that sounds right, yeah.
Yep, that's the one. I didn't think they could do it because I was like, well, they have them. They don't have the. Then the Beatles just kept on dying, and that kept everyone alive. So, Ziltoid, what about you? Did you see a composition that you really liked?
I think I saw plenty of them. Trying to remember specifics is a little hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a tough question.
I wish I was a little bit more prepared for that, because there were several compositions that I really liked. The only one that I can think of right off the top of my head was Nobo Esprouts running Gazlo and Volskaya. I think that ended up surprising me quite a bit on how effective it ended up being, especially in Dive. Against Gaming the D-Shield for no less, so it was a good match.
Very nice. All right, let's get on to this next question. This comes to us from, I think he's just a writer on the NGS website. It's DeWitt. He asks, which one of us is most deserving of a hypothetical raise? So which one of us would multiply our wages by 100? Who's most deserving of that?
Well,
it's kind of a cheater.
Is that a question for me?
No,
what is 100 times a 0?
I was going to say, considering our salaries are all currently 0, any raises is going straight still to 0. So,
no, it's kind of a bad question. I've just had it on this sheet for quite a while. It's a bad question because Jayzon's on this show, and
we're also not supposed to vote against each other. That's
oh no, that's how.
Yeah, that's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
I would
Jayzon
probably put Arthaniu down also as deserving a raise.
Oh no, I do so little on this show.
He is sitting there.
On this show.
He's playing Nintendo Switch right now.
Actually, I'm playing Hearthstone.
Yeah, no.
Don't rope me, bro. Don't rope me.
Yeah.
So, see, Turd has now vetoed Artha now.
No. If it wasn't Ziltoid and or Woe getting the raise key in the background, that man deserves a raise for sure. I unilaterally decide that his wages are worth 100 times more. Congratulations, Key. You deserve it. All right, let's move on. Maybe we'll get a real one here. This is a good one. So Jay Silv, I think he's on
VMS.
VMS. Yeah. Thank you. He asks, do you listen to music while you play? Does that include things like Storm League or NGS games? What about you, Wo? Do you listen to music while you're playing games?
I listen to music pretty much constantly, honestly. Like, not when we're recording this, but whenever I'm gaming or playing or doing work or anything like that, I pretty much always have music going on in the background.
What's the number one thing on your playlist going on in the background?
I was going to say, when it's doing something like gaming or studying or something where I am actually concentrating, I tend to lean towards music that has no lyrics or no vocals. So it kind of oscillates like a lot of, I guess they call it like lo-fi or something.
Yeah,
or like,
lo-fi hip-hop jams.
Yeah, lo-fi hip-hop, a lot of that. A lot of, I like film scores too, honestly.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes I'll put on film scores, like Interstellar has a really awesome score that's kind of minimalist and just nice to put on in the background. But I pretty much always have music going on.
There we go. Ziltoid, what about you?
Warcraft 2 original soundtrack.
Oh, I can hear it in my head.
Sorry.
That's pretty good. I knew exactly what you were singing. Jayzon, what about you, man?
I usually listen to in-game music, actually. Like, a lot of people don't have their in-game music turned on, but it's a little cheesy, but I have a lot of respect for how much work goes into a lot of the in-game music creation.
It is good.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't really realize that, but I actually was a music major in college, and so I have a little bit more knowledge about how much work goes into those kind of things, and so I usually, unless it's not good, but it's almost always is amazing. I just try and put my time into listening to what they've created for us to listen to while we're playing it.
I mean, Blizzard does fantastic scores since they did digital synthesizers. I mean, if the Warcraft 2 soundtrack is not iconic to you, the StarCraft 1 one is for sure. And again, that's all digital synthesizers. They basically didn't use real instruments until they got into Warcraft 3, which, by the way, again, also a fantastic musical score. Like, Warcraft 3 soundtrack is still one of the best that you can listen to. But Heroes of the Storm has some fantastic music and pulls from a lot more genres itself too as well. So I agree. I listen to a lot of just the bass music itself, but if I'm feeling in the mood, it's either that, the Warcraft 2 soundtrack just because it's fun.
Other video game music.
Or Devin Townsend tends to be my big one outside of that kind of stuff. So
I have to echo what Jayzon was saying. I definitely listen to in-game music a lot. Now, with Heroes of the Storm specifically, I don't, because my one caveat on the in-game music starts kind of getting a little too repetitive. I tend to kind of throw on the old Spotify or whatever, but I'm all about immersing myself in there right away. I can still remember, I used to play old school RuneScape for years. I can still remember some of those songs, the entrance song. Love that. I've been playing WoW recently. So I have the music on for that. I'm sure there's people that have heard those songs for hours and hours, but for me, it's brand new, so I still have that on.
There's a lot of really, really nice music in the WoW soundtrack.
Yeah.
And it's one I'll put on sometimes, too, in the background. Is just the instrumental, the zone music and stuff.
The last expansion had some fantastic scores. I love Drustwalk. That one's man, that's a good soundtrack. I can listen to that, that one's good.
Grizzly Hills.
I was gonna say nothing tops Lich King.
Grizzly Hills. Oh man, that's what I listen to.
No idea.
Well, and a lot of the Heroes of the Storm scores kind of pull from whatever universe they're bringing in new heroes for, anyway. So when you first open up the game and you hear that music coming in from Anduin. That's because that's Anduin's theme from World of Warcraft. So there it is.
Very nice. That was a good question. Thank you, J-Sil, for asking it. There's a lot of fun ones this week, so we'll round it out here with the last fun one. What is the origin of your handle or your nickname or whatever you call it? So, Wono, why don't you start us out? What's the origin of Mr. Woe?
Have we? I feel like we answered this one. Have we not? Maybe I've just gotten so used to like talking about it, and I know it's come up in other areas.
You may have responded to this. Is coming from Valkymer.
I was gonna say this is a Valkymer question.
Yeah. So you may have responded in chat. So
that's okay. No, I didn't. The origin of Wono was honestly, he was an alt character, not even my main character from World of Warcraft years ago. So I just come back from the game. I was maining a priest, and I wanted to level a monk because this was right at the end of Mists of Pandaria when monks had just come out. Monk classes look cool, so I rolled a monk, and I was on like a heavily populated server, so it was really tough to find names that were available or weren't taken. Yeah. So I like after typing a couple of things, nothing was working. I just ended up typing like a bunch of just like random words, and at the end of it, Wono stuck. But I still didn't go by that moniker because I kind of played him for a little bit. Oh yeah, this is fun, and shelved him, and then it wasn't till later on in Warlords of Draenor, the expansion after Mists of Pandaria, where I'd leveled the monk to max level, still playing the priest mostly, and I got invited to a raid guild who was specifically looking for a monk, not a priest. So I ended up swapping over to the monk and making him my full-time main, and I still didn't really go by Wono because that's not the name I identified with or I went by, and other people knew me as, I can't even remember what I was going by before that. But just kind of like as time went on and I got more and more involved and attached to playing the monk and moved through different guilds, and that's all they knew me as was Wono the monk. Wono. I changed my battle tag, and it just started like anytime now that I need to come up with a username for something, it's just been Wono. Wono.
Very nice. Mr. Ziltoid, what's the origin story for you?
I mean, mine's pretty straightforward. Ziltoid, the omniscient master of the Omniverse, fourth dimensional being who invaded the planet Earth for the ultimate cup of coffee.
It's from a song, right? Or
it's actually a kind of like a metal rock opera written by Devin Townsend.
Yes.
If you've never heard it, this guy actually self-produced the album by himself, wrote every bit of it and performed every bit of it. Even the drums, which he doesn't play, he programmed using Drummer from Hell, which is a programmable drum program that simulates that of the drums. If you've never heard of Devin Townsend, he's a phenomenal musician from actually Wono's neck of the woods, Vancouver, BC. He's been around for literally forever. He's got like 30 or 40 different albums. But Ziltoid the Omniscient is a character. I don't know. You should look when we have this discussion. You should put a picture of it up there.
It's a little
kind of because he's a Muppet.
Yeah.
He was originally designed that way because Devin Townsend's a huge fan of the Muppet. And so that's where Ziltoid comes from. And then on my Twitch, it's PS Ziltoid because I had in season 5 started a team called Planet Smashers, and I was going to kind of launch from there. But then I went into Logical Decision, so I haven't been able to change the name to anything else, and I didn't want to just leave it as Ziltoid just in case I do things with my channel and stuff like that. I don't want to step on basically my favorite artist toes by stealing his material and stuff like that. So things that he's done himself. So I'll try to redeem a bit of that by plugging him a little bit and say, hey, if you haven't heard this guy and you really like rock, metal, and even all types of different genre music, he's a fantastic listen to. Absolutely.
Very nice. Jayzon, give it to us.
Well, originally it's pretty boring. It's kind of that old World of Warcraft problem where you're trying to type in different cool things like kickaxe and all these other things and name taken. I used to just name all of my characters Jay, and that wasn't available, of course. And I tried a bunch of variations, but Jayzon, that was available on my server, so I went with that. And again, kind of boring because my name's Jason. It's just was just a variation.
It's kind of
how to
almost a
spell
play
it.
on words.
But what I started doing was I started naming all of my different tunes variations of how to spell that. So it'd be like Jayzun or IN or blah 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 blah. And eventually, I got down to my Death Knight when Wrath of the Lich King came out, and I decided to do one thing that was at least a little bit original. Is I called it Jayzon with an E at the end, and then I macroed every time I would death grip somebody. My character would shout, "Welcome to the J Zone, bitch!"
Oh my goodness.
Can we make that a sound clip on the official channel for NGS?
I'm sure we
To the
did
J Zone. All right. Mine
I
is
think another name change in in our analyst Discord is in order. No longer
for those
Jayzon. It is now the Jayzon.
Yeah, for those that don't know, he is known as Jayzon in our Discord. So I forgot why that happened, but he's
German pronunciation
Jayzon
or something.
Swedish or whatever.
Yeah, there we go.
Who knows?
Dawson
Whoever
So-
uses
on,
J as a Y, whatever.
So for me, as you may have guessed, I'm actually a farmer. I spend most of my times in the barn doing barn things, including herding poop. So that's where that name came from. That's not true. Sorry.
Crickets.
We weren't buying it.
The genuine, it's so boring. It's even boringer than Jay's, I promise. So my RuneScape name was Torone, Torone. And I came up with that because I was a Queens of the Stone Age fan. I still am. And one of their songs, I think it's You Feel Like a Millionaire or something like that, or Millionaire. And he says, "Give me Toro, give me some more." But when the song is singing, it sounds like "Gimme Tyrone." Totally just like a 13-year-old coming up with names. And I think I was like becoming more mature. And I thought, I need a new name. So I came up with Turd Herder. Poop jokes never get old. So, whatever. Genuinely, my friend from high school, his name was Conky Dong 64. And I kind of like the alliteration, the rhyming, that kind of stuff. So I was like, oh man, I wish I could have like a rhyming name. Like I need something like that. So I did Turd Herd. So Turd Herder it was. That's it. I actually, right before I joined season 5, I tried to something a little bit more mature, to Fungus. But that didn't stick. So, so there you go, Valcomer. That was a good question. I really like that. If you got a cool name, or even if you don't have a cool name, why don't you go ahead and tell us in Edge Question how you got your Edge or your nickname or your handle. I think it's always really cool to hear what people have to say about it. So, all right, guys, that's it. We did it. We did it relatively quickly, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we go, I'd like to thank all of our panelists. Mr. Wono, where can the people reach you?
Find me on Twitter at WonoHots. Find me on Discord at Wono #6387.
There we go.
I looked at the corner this time, saw the number.
Yeah. Ziltoid, go ahead and tell us, where can the people find you?
At PSZiltoid on Twitter and twitch.tv/PSZiltoid on Twitch and on YouTube as well.
Very nice. Jayzon, where can the people find you?
Jayzon Hots on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all of those good places. And just kind of always kicking it around the Discord. So just message me if you need anything.
There we go. And I am, of course, Turd Herder. You can find me at Turd Herder Hots on Twitter. Guys, I have a Twitch account.
No.
It's not my Twitch account, though. They still haven't gotten back to me.
You just made a new one?
Yeah, I figured out how to cancel my payment subscriptions. So I just did that, and then I started a new one. So I am Lawman Turd on Twitch. So I think it's Lawman _turd. Or maybe it's all one word. I don't know yet. We'll figure
Because
it out.
Lawman Turd was already taken.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, it actually was because I took it. I did. There was a match I really wanted to watch and really wanted to talk in Twitch. And so I did Lawman Turd really quickly, made an account, and then I deactivated it. And then do you know what I need to do to reactivate it? Talk to Twitch support and get it reactivated. So I was like, no, thank you. I'll just make a brand new one. So there it is. Lawman Turd. Find me on Twitch. I'm following all my favorites again, I think. There we go. So before we go, though, quick shout out to Patreon. Link is down below again. Remember to do both the surveys, also down below. I don't have any shout outs myself. Wono, you have one shout out.
I have a shout out. I'll plug Wamp again. Let's get Wamphin in here. Mongoose and I, end of this month here, we're putting on a fun tournament for some Div B and Div C teams. Gonna have some zany rules, absolutely zany.
Just zany.
So come on by and check it out. Teams are going to be invited to the Discord pretty soon, and then we'll get casters and staff and friends and family and who knows in there and have a jolly old time.
There we go. Jayzon, you also had a shout out, so why don't you go ahead and give us a quick plug for your community caster event?
Yeah, we actually just announced it a couple of days ago. We're doing a charity stream, a charity tournament here for the champions at NGS. Basically, we're looking for one representative from each of the 8 different divisions, including each coast for B through D. And the invites have gone out right now. We haven't gotten responses from everybody, but we've got 3 teams in so far, and a lot of the teams are making sure they're eligible for it. But we'll basically, if the first place team in the division isn't able to do it, we'll go to the second place team, and et cetera, until we find a representative for each division. So keep an eye out if you guys are available. It should be a really fun event. It's on Saturday the 25th, so a little less than 2 weeks from now. And it's going to be pretty much an all-day event. So come by, watch. We'll see if we can't get ourselves pretty far up there on the Twitch list of things to look out for. And we'll be kind of looking for people to host if they're available throughout the day to do that. Because it's going to be a great charity event. All proceeds are going to St. Jude Children's Hospital for their Play Live initiative that they do every May. So should be a lot of fun. They've raised over $11 million since they've been doing this the last couple of years. So it'd be cool for NGS to be able to get in on that and do something cool for the community.
100% agree. So check it out, guys. If you're not going to be in it, go ahead and keep an eye out for the casts. And I think that's it. Let me do my quick shout out. Actually, do you have any shout outs? Nope. Perfect. Shout out to our research analysts, Key, BMed, Monkas, -40, Ryokai, Himibo, Chaotic Order. You guys behind the scenes, without you, it must be much more difficult. And also shout out to Phalindrith, still doing Stats of the Storm, just a regular old machine. Really appreciate it, my man. I know we're not doing as stats as we have been because of the playoffs, but I know he's still posting updates to it, so keep an eye for there. That's it, guys. Do a little wave real quick. All right, this is Turd Herder here saying adios, amigos. Remember to stay safe in the Nexus and take your hots to the edge. All right, you ready?
You stripping down for us today?
No, I have my normal clothes. No, I want everyone to see him playing Switch instead of paying attention.
Me, I'm not even playing Switch.
No, not you, not you, Arthanow.
Arthanow.
Dot, and it ends with a tune. Show the clip. At number 4. Now show the clip. Show the clip. Show the clip.
Actually, why I brought up the multitasking thing, because I realized that Jayzon was also simultaneously playing Stardew Valley.
Oh, really?
I have it open, but I'm not actually. See, look, I can't play it with no hand.
Look, Ma, no hands.
I'm gardening with no hands, mama.
All right.